Hello. Welcome on back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. I've really been looking forward to today's video because our model today is a beautiful, everyday kind of gal. She's a busy mom of 3, always on the run, and I think many of you watching may be able to relate to this more than, let's say, me doing a makeup application on a 19-year-old working model. Once you reach a particular age, your skin doesn't wear makeup the same way it does in your youth. So I think you all are gonna appreciate all the little tips and tricks I've included in this video that caters to the more mature audience. Also, a huge shout out to City Beauty for partnering up with me for this video. So if you wanna learn how I created this look right here, then keep on watching. So to begin, I'm using the City Beauty Skin Perfecting Daily Veil to prep the skin. This is a great first step because it has a SPF 39, and you all already know how much I encourage wearing SPF on a daily basis, regardless of your age. But it's also formulated with other ingredients like these line blurring polymers to reduce the appearance of fine lines. It has a marine antioxidant compound to protect the skin from UVA sun damage, and it also has this light activated spirulina maxima extract, which supports the skin's defense against the signs of sun aging, such as dark spots and wrinkles. And this is a product that I'll apply, leave on for a few minutes to let it absorb into the skin, and then proceed on to the next step. For that next step, I'm using the Line Blurring Wrinkle Filler, also from City Beauty, and I'm applying this onto any areas with little fine lines, so mostly around the eyes and the lips. This product, along with their lip glosses, are my top favorite products from the brand. This does exactly what it claims to do, which is fill in creases, instantly blur the look of wrinkles and fine lines, and plump the skin from the inside out. And you don't have to use a lot of this either. A little goes a long way. You're seeing here how I'm slowly just dabbing this on with my ring finger until I get that really smooth, radiant looking complexion. This is also great for those who want to minimize the appearance of pores and texture. But once I've had this worked into the skin, I'm going to move on to foundation, which for today is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, and this is in the shade 7.75. I'll of course include all the products and shades I use them in today down below in the description box, but I've opted for this shade because our model Tia naturally has golden undertones in her skin, but because she's a Malibu girl, she spends her time in the sun, there are areas specifically where the sun hits the most where there'll be more of a red undertone. So I'll be sure to add those red undertones back in later on with blush. I've only applied about maybe 2 pumps of this foundation on with a foundation brush, but then I'll use a clean makeup sponge to go over everything as you see here. This will not only further blend everything in, but it'll also pick up any excess foundation that we don't need. I don't want her makeup to look caked on. I want her skin to feel the way it looks, which is fresh and youthful. Next, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Maple to bronze up her skin and add back some of that definition to areas such as the forehead, below the cheekbones, and the jawline. You'll notice I'm applying just the slightest amount of this with a fluffy brush before going back in with the makeup sponge to diffuse and blend everything out. Now, Tia, our model, told me she loves having bronzed and radiant skin, and radiance is one of the main objectives that I have when working on mature skin. Not that her skin is that mature. She's only 52 and she looks incredible. And by the way, she gave me full permission to disclose her age. I promise my mama taught me better than to be going around town talking about a woman's age without her permission. But I say all this to say that I find using the slightest amount of a liquid bronzer can give a more radiant and skin-like finish to the skin rather than packing on powder bronzers. To each their own though. Everyone is different. Some skin types work better with powders while others don't. So play around with different formulas and find what works best for you. Anyways, moving on, I'm using the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Custard to conceal and brighten the under eyes. I'm applying this on with a clean eyeshadow brush before then diffusing it out with a makeup sponge. So you're probably noticing by now the trend of always heading back to the sponge. And the reason for this is because it really pushes the product into the skin and effectively picks up excess product that's not needed. I get asked a lot from women on how to prevent their eyes from looking cakey, and I always say, less is more. It's when there's an abundance of concealer and powder sitting right there that it starts to settle into those fine lines and break apart, which is why I didn't even bring foundation up to the lash line in our previous step. If you noticed, there's really no use of it since I knew I was already going to use concealer there anyway. So if you're using concealer, try not to bring up your foundation to the under eye area because it's just going to add another layer of unnecessary product, thus provoking creasing and that cakey finish. Once we have that concealer blended out, I'm using the new Tatcha Silk Powder to set the makeup. I'm using a very light dusting of this along the complete face with a large fluffy powder brush. Now, this is my first time using this powder, and I'll say that, gosh dang it, I don't know how to say this without coming off rude because I do love Tatcha's skincare, but this powder really just didn't do it for me. And honestly, I'll tell you what it is. It's the tiny little reflect shimmers in it. In a loose powder, I do not like even the slightest amount of shimmer in it because unless you have the most perfect poreless skin, it's just gonna make fine lines and pores even more noticeable, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another shot one of these days, but I'm just keeping it real with you. This powder just, it wasn't it for me today. Okay, moving on, I'm using this blush from Nars in the shade Orgasm, and I'm applying this onto the upper cheekbone area to bring back some of that sun-kissed blush tones that she naturally has. And I'm lightly applying this on in a stippling motion because I don't want to move around any of that product we've applied up until this point. I'm just pressing this on top until I get my desired result. Then, with this Ofra highlighter in the shade Rodeo, I'm dusting this onto the areas of the face I want there to be a glow, such as the cheekbones, brow bone, down the center of the nose, Cupid's bow, and chin. Now, if I'm going to use a shimmer on the face, this is the time for it. You know, when I use a highlighter, not when I'm using a setting powder to use all over. You know what I mean? I have more control with this placement and using it to highlight particular areas of the face rather than using it all over to accentuate fine lines and pores. So to begin on the eyes, I'm using the Lorac Brazen Unzipped Eyeshadow Palette. I'm first starting by putting a light veil of loose powder under the eyes to catch any potential fallout, and then using the deep brown shade from the palette called Unexplored to dust onto the upper lid. Truth be told, I'm only using one eyeshadow for this look today. I wanted to keep it simple and achievable, yet still looking like there was effort put forth. You know what I'm saying? And more than anything, it's realistic. Tia is a busy mother of 3. She's always on the go, and just like many other women, including many of you watching, including my own mother, it's just not on, on the to-do list to spend 2 hours a day doing a makeup look that consists of 5 different eyeshadow palettes and glitters and eyeliner and false eyelashes and all that. As long as you have one really good brown eyeshadow you like, this is such a quick and easy look, especially if you're seeing that your eyes are becoming more hooded as you age, which is very normal. Running this brown shadow barely up above the crease and below the lash line can really open up your eyes. And because our model is going out to dinner after this, I'm really smoking out this eyeshadow a little extra to make it a little bit more dramatic and spicy. Next, I'm using the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara to run through the top and bottom lashes. Honestly, even for a daytime makeup look, you could totally do everything we've done up until this point, maybe without the eyeshadow, add a light brow and a gloss, and you'd be done in 15 minutes. And then to make it more dramatic for the evening, spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes adding on the eyeshadow and a false eyelash if you want, and you'll be out the door in no time. Of course, you don't even have to add on a false lash, but for the sake of this video, I'm adding on these wispy synthetic lashes from Ardell and popping them on right on her natural lashes. I use these lashes from Ardell all the time because they're extremely comfortable to wear and they don't look too over the top. To begin on the brows, I'm using the Brow Wiz from Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Soft Brown to slowly start filling in her brows and creating a little bit more of an arch that will complement her face shape and raise and lift the brows. Side note, I should have mentioned it when I was putting on the mascara, but another tip I have is if you're not someone who struggles with watering eyes throughout the day, I recommend using a mascara that's not waterproof. The reason being is because it's so much easier to wash off at the end of the day. You're not having to tug and and pull on the delicate skin around your eyes as much as you would have to with a waterproof mascara. And that goes for anyone, regardless of your age. I even choose not to use a waterproof mascara on myself, and it really is life-changing to how you treat the skin around the eyes when it comes to washing off that makeup. Anyways, after I complete the other brow off camera, I'm going to use the City Lips Clear Gloss to apply on. This is the gloss I was referring to earlier in the video. I've personally been using their glosses for over the last year or so, and they're really, really good. Now, this is a lip plumping gloss, so it'll tingle just a little bit as it works its magic, but it doesn't burn or irritate or anything like that. It just gives the lips that extra plump of volume and hydration, and it works quickly, maybe just a few minutes or so. And I've found that the trick to this is to barely bring up that gloss just outside your natural lip line. It'll make all the difference. I'll put a side by side here so you can see what I mean. The lips appear noticeably more plump and hydrated, right? And to add a touch of extra color, I'm using the City Lips gloss in the shade Pink Nude right on top. By the way, if you're interested in getting any of the City Beauty products, the brand gave us 25% off using code Spencer to use for the next 2 weeks, starting today, and then the code will work for 15% off after that. I'll link it down below for you with all the details, but this officially makes for the final step in how we created this radiant and fresh look on our naturally beautiful model. There we have it, kids. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, be sure to give this video a big ol' thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out more of my work on my Instagram at Painted by Spencer. And until next time, I'll see you soon.